Hey guys, what's up? It's Deprimido. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here in FL Studio and I'm going to be breaking down Megan Thee Stallion type beats. Before we get into this video, I've got a spreadsheet with all of my type beat characteristics all laid out. If you want that, you can get it by joining me on my Patreon, which is linked down in the description. It's only a couple bucks a month and it's got lots of cool stuff like that, so it's definitely worth it. Now starting off with the tempo, we're going to be in the range of about 130 to 180 BPM. Now usually in these videos I would start off with the melody, but a lot of times these beats don't have any melody at all. Sometimes they do, and if they do, it's usually going to be some sort of a bell sound or like a bass pluck sound, but more often than not it's not going to have any melody at all, so just don't worry about that. So getting into the drums, let's start off with the hi-hat. These patterns are going to be really simple. Most of the time they're just a two-step, although I did decide to add a couple rolls, but you don't want to go crazy. You only want to have like 1 or 2 rolls, if that. This is what the pattern sounds like. Next I grabbed this clap and I pitched it up 300 cents, so it sounds like this. A lot of times with the claps in these beats, you want to go for something that's kind of more of a realistic sound and not one of those super like trappy claps. So next, getting into the bass, as I mentioned, you can use a bass pluck as your melody, and if you do that, that'll just be the bass for your drums, but if you don't, you're probably going to want to go with an 808. The 808s in these beats are where it's going to go a little bit crazier. You still want to keep it simple. A lot of these songs are really made to be used on TikTok, so you want to make sure that it's really simple and easy to dance to. So for your 808, you're going to want to go with a sound that's kind of beefy. You don't want it to be super distorted, but you just want it to be really punchy. Keep in mind, for a lot of these beats, the 808 is going to be the main melodic component, so you really want to make sure that it fills out the beat. Something like this is a good choice. So this is the pattern that I made. It sounds like this. Next, I just layered that pattern with a kick and I took out some of the notes. I don't want to have the rolls and stuff on the kick because that doesn't really sound good. This is what it sounds like. So one of the most important things about these beats is that most of them have an 808 change up. So you're going to want to use an entirely different sound and you're going to want to make a different pattern. A lot of the time you're going to want to use one short 808 and one long 808. So you just heard the short 808, so I went with a longer 808 for this pattern. Pretty much the same rules apply for this 808 as for the last one. You don't want it to have too much distortion. You really want it to fill out the beat and you just want it to be kind of beefy. So this is the second pattern that I made and it sounds like this. Now for this beat, even though it's not super melodic, I am working in the key of C# minor. Now you'll notice this note right here actually goes out of the key, and because these beats aren't super melodic, that works. You can do that, and I just thought it kind of sounded good to lead back to the root note. Whenever you talk to somebody about music theory, the first thing that they'll tell you is that you should learn scales and chords and stuff like that, and that's definitely true. I recommend you do that, but another thing that they'll tell you is that music theory is the rules that you need to know in order to break them. So you need to know how to use music theory, and you also need to know how to not use it. So things like this going out of the key is kind of an example of not using it. I know it enough in order to not use it. Then I made this counter kick pattern. It goes with that last 808 pattern that I showed you, but it's not an exact layer. It is kind of different. This is what it sounds like. And the last thing I added to this beat was just a little triangle perk. Super simple pattern. This is what it sounds like. And this is all that I'm going to add to this beat, so next let's get into the mixing. If you guys want to see my full mixing tutorial, I'll link that up in the card in the corner. So this is what my mix looks like. It's really simple. The only effect that I used was a fruity wave shaper on the shorter 808 to make it a little bit punchier. Other than that, I just leveled it. One thing I should mention for the mixing on these beats is that you want to have the 808s really loud. You want to have them knocking. Just make sure you're not blowing your ears out or doing anything like that. Still keep it in balance with the rest of the instruments, but you do want to have it pretty loud. You also are going to want to have the hi-hat be pretty quiet. In some songs it's barely even audible. I wouldn't say you should go that far, but you should have it a little bit quieter than usual. So other than that, I'm just gonna lay this out and arrange it, and I'll play it at the end of the video. But first, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Also check me out on Patreon. There's a lot of cool stuff over there. You've got my entire spreadsheet of my type beat characteristics. You also get the FLPs and stems for all the beats that I do in these videos. You can also vote on who I do for these videos, and there's some other cool stuff, so I definitely recommend you check it out. It's only a couple bucks a month, so it's definitely worth it. Also check me out on Instagram. I'm dropping a free MIDI kit when I reach 2,000 followers, and subscribe here on YouTube. We're really close to 400 subs, so when I get there, I'm dropping another free loop kit. You can also check out my 300 subscriber loop kit, which is down in the description. But yeah, that's about it. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.